I had a vision. And for those people listening, if you have the vision, it starts with the vision. And if you have this great, wonderful vision, you will find a way to get there. So here I am in Columbus, Ohio, wanting federal government contracts. And I wanted federal government contracts because of recurring revenue. And lo and behold, it paid off in spades.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Mary Korn. She's the founder and CEO at Pearl Interactive Network. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kelsey. I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So Mary, why don't you start and tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm a clinical social worker by background, and I love business. And I started Pearl Interactive Network in 2004. We're a social enterprise, and we're a social enterprise in that we provide government contact center services. But what makes us a social enterprise is we've always given from day one hiring priority to people with barriers to work, such as disabled veterans, military spouses, people with disabilities, and people living in the most impoverished parts of this country. So I'm proud to say 65% of our employees have barriers to work. So that fulfills everything I've dreamed of when I started this company, which is fulfilling a profit mission and a social mission.
I think that's so impactful. And tell me a little bit more about why you started Pearl.
I got tired of working for other people. I just reached a certain point in my life where I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. And plus, I've always felt this entrepreneurial spirit running through me. It's almost like this was my destiny.
I love that. I love that. And we've talked off camera before that I'm an MSW, so
I
we
do
we
know
share
that.
we share that connection in that. So, talking about being a social enterprise, how did that assist with the trajectory of your company?
Tremendously. We are in an industry which is contact center. We specialize in beneficiary services and healthcare. There are literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of competitors we have globally. What sets us apart, especially in the niche market we're in, which is government, is if price is equal, people making decision on the behalf of government, whether it be federal or state, love the idea of contracting with a company that has a social mission. So it's a real hand in glove specialty fit.
I really love that. And you mentioned that 65% of your employees have barriers to work, right? Um,
Yes.
are they all located by you in Ohio or are they national? Talk to me a little bit about where they are.
We are located in 29 states. We have 1,000 employees. 700 of them are in a bricks and mortar in Winchester, Kentucky. Given that we hire people with barriers to work, one huge barrier to populations that have challenges with work is transportation. COVID actually has been a blessing because now more than ever, government contracts are virtual. And since they're virtual, we're able to hire people who don't have access to transportation with competitive wages and rich benefits.
I really think that is important to note. Obviously, as a social worker, you know that barriers to work can be so important, and it makes a lot of sense that you have, like you said, that brick and mortar where people are able to go to a location and be able to support that local community. I think that's fantastic. Talking about government contracts, though, it's a very tough
Yes,
industry.
extremely tough.
It requires a lot of tenacity and endurance. So talk to me over the years how the company has grown and scaled and you've been able to succeed.
Um, it wasn't easy, Kelsey, but I had a vision. And for those people listening, if you have the vision, it starts with the vision. And if you have this great, wonderful vision, you will find a way to get there. So here I am in Columbus, Ohio, wanting federal government contracts. And I wanted federal government contracts because of recurring revenue. And also federal government contracts can be very large. And the first thing I did is when I started the company is I literally camped out in my friend's basement who lives right near DC. And from morning till night, I would go to networking events and schedule one-on-one interviews. And lo and behold, it paid off in spades. It was a huge, huge investment. But Kelsey, for anyone who wants government contracts, it really helps to have a commercial business to start with, because government contracts could literally take 18 months to 2 years before you land your first dime.
Wow. Wow. It's a really complex, it's a very complex service, government contracting. So is a lot of the work that you do very consultative?
It's all call center, and it's all call center that's consultative. It's for people. We take inbound calls for people who have complex issues, from what healthcare plan can I receive as a Medicaid recipient to I'm a doctor, I've lost all kinds of revenue because of COVID. How do I access funds that will help me keep my business open?
Wow. Wow. That's really impactful work that you're doing. And I imagine, people are trusting you a lot with their, some of their most difficult times. So being able to, turn to that call center, I imagine is very impactful.
I'm so glad you said that, because we carefully hire people who have the ability to have a personal, emotional connection with the people calling them. That is a critical characteristic of someone we hire.
And why do you think that's so important?
Because no matter what the issue is, whether it's trying to find benefits or needing an appointment scheduled with the VA, everyone calling us struggles with some issue. And something I say at the orientation of every employee is, you might be the only bright spot in a person's day. And I absolutely encourage you to remember that with every inbound call you take. You want to be the best part of someone's day.
I think that's really important because, you never know what somebody's going through. And obviously, as a licensed clinical social worker, you know that and the importance. But, to instill that in your employees who may not have the same, education that you and I do with the social work background, I feel like everyone, has some sort of, if you're doing the work that, your employees are doing, they have to have some sort of, social work in them. But, it's very important. I think that's really impactful that you're able to have that conversation with every employee, saying, meet them where they're at, and, do the best work that you can.
Kelsey, you just said what I learned my first day at graduate school.
Yeah.
You meet people where they are.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's one of my, I tell people that all the time, is that, you don't know where people are. You don't know, you can't force people necessarily to change or anything like that. They got to want it themselves. So, talking, pivoting a little bit, talk to me a little bit about your book, The Blue Ocean Strategy.
Well, I wish I could say it was my book.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry, not your book.
Although
The
I am going to be launching a book in the not too distant future called Getting Fired, the Best Thing That Ever Happened.
That's what I'm getting confused. Yes.
But getting back to the book, Blue Ocean Strategies, that book had a major impact on this whole company, because the premise of Blue Ocean Strategies is that when you position your business, you position it so you have no other competitor. So a perfect example is Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil is a combination of a circus, it's theatrical, it's operatic, it's gymnastics. It's a whole culmination of a myriad of different types of entertainment. Cirque du Soleil really has no competition because they are so unique. I read that book and I thought, how do I set up my business knowing there are millions of competitors to be unique? And the answer to it is two different things. Number one, laser focused on the government market. Number two, being a social enterprise. And number three, being laser focused on working with businesses that hire us because they have to have woman-owned certification. So believe it or not, Kelsey, for women listening, becoming a woman-owned company and certified as a woman-owned company could be a great tool for accelerating a business.
And talk to me a little bit about that.
So the government requires, both state and federal, requires that X amount of money be spent on diverse businesses. So we are literally courted every week by businesses that, for compliance reasons, have to work with us. That's a sweet spot to be in. And it definitely gives a leg up to women entrepreneurs. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of women don't know about this, which is why I'm really hoping and praying that if there are women listening to this podcast, they get some great answers for how they could catapult their businesses.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And, certainly as an MSW, as an LCSW, championing diversity and, championing women, obviously your company is founded and you're the CEO, so a woman-owned company. I think that's fantastic. And I'm thrilled to have you on the show today. So, a shameless plug for you. Tell me a little bit more about your book.
So the book is called Getting Fired, the Best Thing That Ever Happened. And the premise is based on my research. Almost 70% plus people are not engaged in their work. And I believe you have one life to live and you should passionately love the work that you do. So whether you've actually been fired, which I have been multiple times, or you live this life of quiet desperation, just doing a job because it's a job, I believe life is too short and you should passionately find the work you love, because I believe we all have a mission and we all have a purpose. And my great hope is that this book will inspire people to find their life purpose, their life work, and that this will be a how-to manual on how to get from being lost and stuck to finding your way. And this is a whole other topic, but believe it or not, getting fired is the universe's way of pushing you on that path.
And growth is very uncomfortable, right?
It's incredibly uncomfortable. Uncertainty is very uncomfortable, but it's also an opportunity for great growth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Mary, this has been a great conversation. Before we head out today, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with?
If anyone would like to connect with me on anything you heard, can I give my email address?
Oh, absolutely.
It's mkorn, MKORN, at pinsourcing.com. That's PINSOURCING.com. And I hope that this podcast has inspired anyone who's looking for direction.
I love that. Well, Mary, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you talking to me about, the tough world of government contracting, talking to me and breaking down what it is to be, a social enterprise in that field. And I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
Thank you, Kelsey. Let's stay in touch. It was a joy.
Absolutely.